Good evening. Witnesses to wedding ceremonies have been asked for centuries to support the happy couple with a rousing "we will." But for gay marriage, legal from midnight tomorrow, it appears a sizable chunk of the population would still say "we will not." An exclusive poll for BBC 5 Live suggests many of us would refuse to attend a friend or relative's wedding if it was to someone of the same sex. With the Archbishop of Canterbury himself signalling tonight that the Church's position may be softening, is this a case of stubborn prejudice that refuses to disappear? Or has the law run ahead of what some parts of society simply find hard to accept? Here's Jim Reid.
The music might be traditional, the lyrics are from the Middle Ages, but the event they're rehearsing for is very modern. This weekend, the Fourth Choir, formed just 6 months ago by members of London's gay community, will be performing live at a series of events across the capital. 47 years after homosexuality was legalised, 9 years after the first civil partnerships, same-sex couples are finally about to get the right to marry. One of the first couples to exchange vows will be John Coffey and his Spanish fiancée Bernardo Marti. Their wedding at Westminster Registry Office just past the stroke of midnight on Saturday is being filmed and broadcast next week on BBC London.
Cheers.
When we get married tomorrow night, it's for the first time ever in our history as in the gay community that we have total equality. You could argue that. But I think there's still a way to go in hearts and minds that people, there is still homophobia there. People, I mean, it's quite strange because we live a very ordinary, boring, for us it's very, it's very contented life here. And when you read homophobic comments in the newspaper, and you listen to what people have got to say about us and that, the floods, recent floods apparently because of gay marriage, there's this monster that's out there that actually doesn't exist.
A poll for BBC 5 Live out tomorrow shows just how far public views have come on same-sex marriage. 68% agreed with the law change, 26% were opposed, and that was especially true among younger voters. 8 out of 10 under 35s support gay marriage, compared with 44% of over 65s. But 4 out of 10 still don't see same-sex marriage as equal to heterosexual marriage, and 22% of British adults say they wouldn't attend a same-sex ceremony.
I'm delighted it's only 22%, and I think that's probably a hugely significant change. If you go back 10 years, 20 years, certainly if you go back to, to when, 40 years ago when I was going to school and realised that I was gay. So I think that's quite encouraging if it's only 22%. And for those 22%, they're missing a great party.
But this change to the law still leaves some loose ends. It won't be possible to convert a civil partnership into full marriage until next year, and as things stand, same-sex couples will still struggle to get married in most churches. In an interview with The Guardian tomorrow, the Archbishop of Canterbury will signal he accepts gay marriage will soon be law and says he will not resist the change, but Anglican clergy will still be banned from conducting same-sex ceremonies. Sharon Ferguson is the pastor of the Metropolitan Community Church, a non-C of E denomination founded and run by the gay community in North London.
It is very sad also for a lot of my members at the Lesbian and Gay Christian movement who are members of the Church of England. It's sad for them because whilst they could go to another church when other churches are registered, they're not going to be able to get married within the church where they perhaps regularly worship. And that is a sad situation. And it's very sad for the priests within the Church of England who would like to be able to marry members of their congregation as well.
This Saturday is then an important date for the gay rights movement, a time of celebration for many, but the day when same-sex marriage really means completely equal marriage may still be some way off.
Well, with us to talk about this tonight are the columnist Melanie McDonough and also Philip Hensher, the author, who's happily in a civil partnership. Melanie, this poll suggests there is a sizable minority of people who just wouldn't go to a gay wedding. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, speaking for myself, I'm very much in favour of going to a party, and I've never knowingly turned down a wedding invitation, but if one's opposed to the principle of gay marriage, then it would be a bit hypocritical to go to the ceremony.
So you clearly would not attend a gay wedding, even if it was from a close relative or a good friend?
Well, as I say, I'd be loath to turn down a fabulous party, but I think it would be hypocritical if I were to do so, because I have an objection in principle to the notion of gay marriage, though I'd perfectly happily attend a civil partnership ceremony.
Philip Pensher, is the reality that politicians then pushed through this legislation for gay marriage specifically at such a speed that some parts of society just haven't been willing yet to accept that, and they have the right not to?
Well, yes, they have the right not to. They perfectly have the right not to go to celebrate the relationships, the family bonds of even people they know very well. That's people's liberty. Certainly, politicians sometimes push something through that they believe is right, even if they don't think that everybody is with them, even if they think that it's a minority this is going to benefit. But you know, in this case, the politicians, I believe, took the view that it wasn't something that was going to affect every member of society. It's going to affect a small minority, a relatively small minority, maybe 10% of the population. But for those people, it's going to change their lives. It really is going to change their lives. For the rest of the population, it's going to affect them indirectly, or it might not affect them at all. So I think they just did the right thing there.
But why do you then think there are still a sizable chunk of society, a minority, but a sizable chunk like Melanie, who just wouldn't want to go because they still object? Why is that?
Well, I think it's unfamiliarity, to be honest. In most cases, I think it's unfamiliarity. And it would be interesting to know whether that 22%, whether they actually had met, if they'd spent time, if they were related to a gay person.
But for Melanie here, it's not unfamiliarity, it's an objection to the principle. Do you object to the fact there are still many people who object to the principle?
No, I think that people are entitled to their own principles, that people don't have to go to parties. I really don't mind, Melanie's freedom of speech. She can protest against my wedding outside my wedding if she wants. We will bring her out a canapé.
But Melanie, sometimes though, isn't it the responsibility of politicians to lead public opinion here?
Yes, but I think also that they have to take cognizance of public opinion as well. And in the case of David Cameron, he was plainly completely out of touch with the sentiments in his own party, with his own grassroots, and by all accounts, even with his own mother.
But in terms of wider society, plenty of people opposed the idea originally of giving women the vote. Plenty of people opposed the relaxation of the divorce laws. Minorities can't always get their way, can they?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm entirely in favour of politicians acting on principle, and one could only wish that they did so more often.
But you're suggesting only a principle when it's one that you agree with. I mean, do you accept that the status of a gay relationship is the same in status as that between a man and a woman?
No, because it lacks the complementarity, the potential fruitfulness of a heterosexual relationship, which isn't to say that it isn't a good and valuable thing in itself, but it lacks that element of complementarity which is fundamental to marriage.
Philip?
Well, that's something that I can't really engage with, because there are very happy marriages of all sorts that have no prospect of fruitfulness.
But how do you feel then tonight, when this is the law that is changing tomorrow at midnight, when you still hear that?
Well, I'm very relaxed about difference of opinion. I mean, as long as this difference of opinion doesn't then descend and presume to tell me how I may live my life with my husband.
OK, well, briefly to both of you, who's had an invite yet then? Philip?
I haven't, oddly enough. Maybe that's my reckless friends going on living in sin. I don't know.
Melanie, any to the receptions, even if you wouldn't go to the first part of the ceremony?
Well, tragically, not even to a civil partnership, which I'd very much like to attend. But I think that one can wish people well and hope that they'll be happy in their relationships, even if one draws the line at celebrating reworking of the institution. OK, well, Melanie McDonough, Philip Pensher, thank you both for coming in. It will be fascinating to see how this all unfolds.